Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another edition of Ramadan Radio Special Health Show. I'm your host, Dr. Shahid Latif, and we have another wonderful show today. It seems like it's been only yesterday, but actually it's been, 1 year since we ran Ramadan Radio, specifically on the health. We did have one show in between, but it's wonderful to be back, and thank you very much for tuning in. We've got another wonderful guest today who we're going to be, who I'll introduce in a moment. But we're going to be having a few shows for the rest of this month, which we will give details as we go along. But what we do is that in order for us to be successful and us to be effective, is that we want your participation. So tuning is one way of doing it, but we also want your participation for you to ring in, to contact us, ask questions. And there are various ways we can do that. And some of the ways are you can telephone us on 0116-212-9324, or even text us on 07450-925-084. Visit our website, or also email us at info@ramadan.fm. So I'm going to go straight to our guest today because we've got an excellent topic, and I'm sure this topic is extremely topical. And we will be covering areas which are of something which we, in a day-to-day, may have an impact on us. We're going to be talking about common mental health conditions, specifically depression and anxiety. And as most of us know, or most of us would know, that they say that in one's lifetime, 1/3 of individuals will develop or experience some form of mental health. So this is very, very important. So we're going to be talking about this, and I'm going to introduce my guest. Her name is Dr. Kamila Haider. She is a psychiatrist working in forensic psychiatry. And welcome, Kamila. Assalamu alaikum and welcome.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Shahid. Thank you for inviting me today, first of all. And it was very nice to be here Sunday afternoon in Leicester today. And I can see there's a wonderful office here, and you're doing a good work, mashallah.
It is. So we've got a fantastic team here, and our producer's smiling. And he's saying thank you for the compliments. And there we go. No, thank you. And I would like to thank you and your husband, Habib, who's sitting here. Thank you, Habib. Heather, he's also a doctor who's joined you and drove you along to come here while you're fasting, and on a Sunday, we'll say afternoon, but it's nearly like morning when you are fasting. But thank you very much for taking out the time, and we really appreciate your, individuals and professionals like yourself who work full time, have children, are mothers, and then take out the time for the community. We really, really appreciate that. So, Kamila, let's go straight on to what we're going to be talking about. But just before we do, I'm just going to mention that this is actually Radio Ramadan with Eva FM. So this is very, very important for us. It's Ramadan special on Eva 102.5 FM. So I'm going to be reminding you of this because this is really, really important. We've already gone through, and I will go throughout the show. We will be talking about how people can participate and contact us. But let's start by asking you, Kamila. I mean, you've been working in psychiatry for a number of years. Yes. And what I would really like to ask you is, in your experience, how common are mental health problems?
Well, first of all, I would say that thank you for the nice introduction and for this afternoon today. And I'm sure what we are going to discuss today is not an uncommon problem. It's a very common problem. And as you said, that 1/3 of people, they do suffer from some kind of mental health illness or mental health problems. And what I have seen is that it's not 1/3. I think every person in life will be facing some kind of depression, anxiety, or stress. If someone has, no depression, no anxiety, no stress in life, please call on our number now and tell us, because we need that person on our show. Yes. And so it's basically everybody's problem. It's my problem, it's your problem, it's a community problem. And by talking, I think, discussing it today for an hour or a few minutes that we take, I think it's important because our voice, if whatever knowledge, whatever we can give back to the community, I think that's important. And that is why we're doing this, because we want our community to know that how common these problems are, depression, anxiety related to stress or any other problems, as we will be discussing in the next hour.
Fantastic. Now, before we go on to the common mental health problems, Kamala, why do you think, I mean, there are reasons why people may not want to talk about mental health problems. Is that a myth or a fact?
I believe that it's a fact.
Okay.
And I have actually seen people suffering from this kind of mental health illness, mental health problems, and they shy out. They don't want to come out. And the thing is that they shy out at a certain level. Before that, they think that it's just normal what's happening to them. And they don't realize that this problem, if whatever problems they're facing, they're not addressed, if they don't find help, they actually, with period of time, that's going to increase very gradually. They might not even know that they're going into that vicious circle. It's not only them, but people around them. I think they're not very supportive as well. So as myself, I work in psychiatry as well, and I do a local radio show, and I also covered some of the mental health groups that are trying to build in the mental health awareness in the community. And that's very important because the awareness in our community is quite basic. It is coming up. It is better what it was 10 years back. It is moving forward, but I think the pace of moving forward is slow. The people need to have more mental health awareness, and I think what we are doing now, maybe, I don't know how many people are listening to us, but even if one person listens and gets some help out of it, I think we have done our job. So this is
very well said, Kamala. And I think one of the things that which is really positive is that a lot of celebrities and famous people are now coming up. And Prince Harry, don't know why I said Andrew, Prince Andrew and his new wife, I think they're talking a lot about mental health problems, and I think it's really important for people who are well known out there to come forward and talk about it, to say it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah.
And like you very rightly said, that mental health issues may not necessarily be a disorder, but it may be just symptoms and basic symptoms. And if they are not catered for or talked about right from the start, there may be like a snowball effect. And it's like saying it's the last straw and people may have a breakdown. So I think you're absolutely right. So Kamala, in your experience, what are the commonest mental health conditions that individuals may experience?
The commonest ones are, as we just said, we just talked about, I think we've already mentioned that it is kind of having not full-blown depression maybe, but they will have some kind of mood changes or behavior changes, which might be related to, the symptoms of depression and anxiety. Which we don't have to label it straight away. But obviously when a person starts feeling, it's about feeling it, thinking about it, and how we behave on it. So when these three things, they become a problem and they start interfering with their day-to-day activities, then obviously it will be like depression, anxiety, and that could be related to stress, could be anything. So I think the commonest thing is the mood disorders. The mood changes are the behavioral changes. They are the main factors that chips in. And
just for our viewers' understanding, because sometimes individuals may wake up wrong side of the bed. They may be upset about something. And they may feel frustrated or angry, and a word depression, I'm feeling depressed today. Just for our viewers' understanding, Kamala, can you give us the commonest symptoms that individuals who have what we describe as mild, moderate, or even severe clinical depression, what kind of symptoms they could be expecting to experience?
Well, when we talk about symptoms of depression, this is something quite commonly discussed everywhere. If you Google symptoms of depression, you will get maybe thousands of them. So, but the main idea of the symptoms is really simple. You need to see, depression is kind of a very complex way of looking at a body, because it has got physical symptoms plus it's got emotional symptoms as well. So if when we say we've got a headache, so we only say that we've got headache, that is a physical symptom. But with depression, with these kinds of mood disorders, we have to look at both the sides. So it's biological symptoms which the body is experiencing, and the other is the emotional, which we are experiencing in general around us. So, for example, it's about sleep, it's about appetite. Are you able to sleep all right? Some people sleep too much, some people sleep less, they become restless. Some people might have a good too much, they eat too much, or they just don't eat at all. So it's about seeing what kind of symptoms you are developing, the difference in your day-to-day life and difference in yourself. Then we have, symptoms of interest, loss of interest. That, if suppose I like doing radio shows. If I'm coming here and I have an interest, so if I'm feeling depressed, maybe I'm not going to enjoy that anymore. So whatever you're doing, like if you're going to gym and you're not enjoying that anymore, so you should think about it, why it's happening to you. There could be feeling of guilt. There could be feeling of the appetite, and we've talked about sleep, appetite. There's a feeling of guilt as well. You just think that everything is because of you. Hopelessness, helplessness. So when these things get onto you, get onto someone, slowly by slowly, and starts affecting their day-to-day activities, I think that is a time. Then there's a very concrete thinking of negative thoughts in your mind. You start thinking that life is not worth it, what am I doing, and everything is very meaningless around. So when you think it's that way, then then there is something wrong. And people, you might not understand, people around you might understand that what's happening to you. If you're going to work and you're not enjoying your work, then obviously those are the symptoms that start coming up to you. Mood changes, behavior changes. If you start feeling restless, angry, sudden outburst, something different to your personality, then obviously that is something we need to think about.
And
Concentration, and there are loads of them. And it doesn't matter if I'm giving like 10-12 symptoms, doesn't mean that a person will have all of them.
Okay.
So they might have one or two symptoms, biological symptoms, but if it is affecting your day-to-day life, if it's affecting your work, your family life, your personal life, then yes, this is the time when you need to intervene yourself and ask for help.
Okay. And many people, I'm sure, who would be listening would be thinking, oh, I have some of those. But we may all, you, me, anybody in this studio, may actually experience these symptoms. Is there a time period for how long these symptoms may go on for, or can one just experience them for one day and that would be called depression? Or is there normally a time span after which we can say, you know what, we can now call this clinical depression?
Yes, I think it's about like 4 to 6 weeks that we say. But the thing is that it all depends on what I have felt in, when I was working in acute psychiatry and general psychiatry. What I have felt is that it will take weeks, obviously not a day, but you need to see the severity of the symptoms. If the symptoms are severe within a week, you need help for that.
Sure.
So if someone is there's low self-esteem, you're not able to go to work, and there is a reason behind it as well. So we will come to the causes as well. So usually we say that it's 4 to 6 weeks. It can go up to 6 months. It can go up to a year, depending upon the treatment as well. And we will come to the treatment, how you treat it, biopsychosocial model. We treat depression. But the thing is that if it's affecting your life, if it's affecting yourself, you need to ask for help.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kamila, for that. We're going to actually take a short break. This area is really, really important. And what you touched on, I'm going to actually come back and I'm going to ask you a few more questions. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a short break. And after that, we'll just continue with that. But in the meantime, we'll continue to request people to call in. We will give details. We will see you shortly on the other side. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon and welcome back to Ramadan FM. We are Ramadan special on EVA 102.5 FM. We will continue our show and we've got a wonderful guest on and we're talking about common mental health problems. We've been discussing about depression and the symptoms of depression and how long they should be before we diagnose it or may call it as clinical depression. Now, please call in. You are most welcome to participate and talk to us. Now, there's various ways you can do that. You can telephone us on 0116 212 9324, text on 07450 925 084, visit our website or email us on info@ramadan.fm. And as I've said, we are Ramadan special on EVA 102.5 FM. We've got some wonderful individuals who have joined in on Facebook. Sam, John Paul, name Briscoe. Thank you very much and thank you for your comments. Name, very good show as you've said. And also Ashfaq Amanullah joined, and we have Amina Bijal Natwani, who has given a very positive and encouraging comment saying, well done for this show. Such an important topic. It is vital we overcome stigmas and discuss this subject within our communities. Thank you. You've actually hit the nail on the head, Amina. Thank you very much for that message. And I hope that encourages people to join in and talk to us, or send a message on Facebook or text messages or call us in. Right, Kamila. Back to where we were. We were discussing symptoms, so we went through those. Now, apart from depression, can you advise or tell us or educate us that the other common mental health problem that you described or you mentioned was anxiety? Now, day-to-day anxiety, we all experience something that we call panic, something that we call feeling nervous, having butterflies in our stomach, etc., calling ghabrahat when we call it in Urdu or Punjabi, etc. Saying that for our listeners out there. So just for our education, Kamala, tell us, what is an anxiety disorder?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Shahid, and thank you to Ramzan Special on EVA. I think this is a wonderful staff and crew that you have, and we had a wonderful time. Within 5 minutes, I think we did a lot, took some photographs as well. So yes, so back to our topic, and I think people who are joining us and are listening to us. What should be our message to them today about anxiety, about depression that we've been discussing? So what I would say about anxiety is that we're all anxious people. We all have anxieties in ourselves. If I say that I'm not anxious, I'll be wrong. But this anxiety presents in a different way in every person. Some people, like you said, they get panic. Some people have generalized anxiety disorders. That's a medical term, but the name explains it's general. It's generalized anxiety. So whatever you do, you're anxious in. You'll be having sweats. You'll be having like heart thumping and feeling pins and needles in your fingers, and everything becomes very hazy. You can't think clearly. So this is kind of an anxious person. How the anxious person presents. The person might have verbal outbursts or physical outbursts as well. We'll get into outbursts with family and friends. Normally that person might be fine, but when the person is anxious, will be feeling that way. And then depression and anxiety are like, they're hand to hand. You might have anxiety because of depression, or you might be depressed because of anxiety. So there's no one or the other way of. It's about, as I said, I can't emphasize more saying that you need to self-monitor yourself. The one thing is self-esteem. If your self-esteem is high at that level, you will have, you should have some faith in yourself, some trust in yourself, saying that, how I feel. Am I feeling all right? These things happen to everyone. But when do we say that now you need some help? It is when, I said back again in the first half an hour, that when these things are affecting your day-to-day activities, affecting your work, affecting your personal life, your work life, your family, friends around you, they start noticing that something is going wrong with you, then find help. As we have Amina said that people shy out and they don't discuss it in communities. Yes, this is right. This is 90% right. People shy out, they don't discuss it. And we are the people, if we are sitting on a mic here with the radio, our voice will be going to a lot of people. And this is how we talk. When we talk, it's like a snowball effect, as you said, that when we talk, people are going to bring out their problems. Not with us, maybe in their families. Okay, I have this problem. Is this problem big enough for me to ask for help? And it's about the community, it's about the families as well around them. You need to understand that they're going through some kind of physical phase or a physical problem. You need to help them rather than blame. There is a blame and shame culture as well going on in families and friends. So that need to dry out as well. We need to discourage that kind of attitude towards the people who need help in the communities.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Kamala, for covering that completely, almost across the board. When individuals do experience anxiety and depression, one of the things, and I know we ran a course together through UPNE, the Association of Pakistani Physicians of Northern Europe, a couple of weeks ago, and which was very well received. And we spoke about stress and day-to-day stress, and how to manage stress, and what the causes of stress are, and what the indicators or early warning signs of stress are, and what to do next. Can you tell us what's the difference between stress and anxiety? Are they the same thing, or is it something different, or do they link, or can one lead to the other?
Well, they're quite interlinked. Okay. And stress, as I said, can be, now there are levels of stresses as well. Now, some people can get stressed out on a little thing. For example, I was coming in the morning, I was getting late. I was quite stressed out. So that was a big stress for me because I wanted to be here on time. But maybe for someone, they might be an easygoing person. They might not take that much stress. That's fine. Little things come in their way and go off. So people have got different personalities and the way of dealing with things. So stress, anxiety, as you said, they are interlinked. They're definitely interlinked. You need to see if anxiety is causing stress or the stress is causing anxiety to you. So they're like depression and anxiety.
Sure.
Yeah. So this is my kind of ethos.
Yes. It makes very much sense. And what are the signs, Kamala, in your experience, because we all experience them, whether we are psychiatrists, doctors, GPs, non-medical professionals.
In fact, we deal with that ourselves more, but we don't talk.
We don't talk and we don't manage it. We're too busy looking after other people. What are the early warning signs? Are they different from anxiety? Or, when I'm at work, sometimes we see people going off sick, sometimes we people not being efficient, sometimes we see people being distracted, making mistakes. Can these be signs of stress in individuals?
Yes, of course they can be signs of stress. As I said, stress is a word collectively for the symptoms of depression and anxiety, basically. So when someone is dealing with, maybe if there is a loss in family or financial problems, there should be a cause around it. Some people can get stressed out without a cause, but most of the time there are kind of causes around it. So it could be, the stress could be because of a cause, and when there is a cause, you need to see what is happening to you.
I'm just going to stop you there because I think we've got somebody online. We've got named Briscoe on the phone. If you could just put your headphones on, Kamila. We've got someone on the line. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Name Briscoe on the line.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you doing? First of all, I think this show is probably the best show I've listened to on Ramadan Radio.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much, Naim Bhai.
Simply because it's anxiety and mental illness or some types of depression is very, very common, not just in our locality, but throughout the world. And it's important that people get to understand what type of depression or anxiety they have to treat it, or maybe some methods of treating it as well. So I'll share a very quick story with you guys.
Yes, please do.
I travel abroad a lot, and I do a lot of charity work. And I go with a team of people. We travel every couple of months, and we see a lot of things, and a lot of things that can upset you. It could be something as simple, something as a mother crying for a child, or a child looking for the mother, or fatalities and stuff like that. And over the years, I didn't realize I used to get really, really bad dreams at night, and I used to wake up with a sweat all the time at night. And at early stage, I used to ignore it a lot and kind of fight it and think, oh, it's just a bad dream. But as I went on, I started realizing I'm starting to get a bit of anxiety. I went to the doctors. I got diagnosed with mild anxiety. And alhamdulillah, I'm happy I went, because I learned some ways of treating it and making it better for me. So the reason why I like this show is because a lot of people that may suffer from anxiety or depression might not even know it. And by listening to the show, it can give them the chance to even, treat it or find out methods. There's a lot of herbal methods. There's other ways you can sort of help yourself.
Absolutely, Naeem. What a beautiful message. And thank you very much. And actually what you've actually done is you've basically hit the nail on the head by stating right from the start as to what individuals may experience, and if it's ignored, how it can have, just build up slowly, and then individuals may break down. So I think what you've actually said is absolutely beautiful and wonderful. And is there any message you would like to give? You are on a Ramadan special on either 102.5 FM. Individuals out there who may experience something special, something similar to what you've experienced, what would you suggest to them?
I think the key thing is that, look, it's a taboo subject, especially in our community.
Absolutely,
some people might think, oh, I'm a bit shy of it, I'm a bit ashamed of it. There's nothing wrong with seeking medical help. Sometimes we see things in our life and our brain can't absorb it very well, and it affects your body, it affects you in different ways. So it's always good to, kind of relax and find ways of relaxing. What I do, I find ways of relaxing. What that is I pray. When I start praying a lot, it calmed me down. Seeing my children, spending time with my children, because I used to travel a lot and work a lot, and I spent less time with my kids. Spending time with my kids kind of helps. So there's other remedies around it. You just got to find yourself. But it's always good to get medical advice as well, because, it's important to know, what's going on, how can you help yourself. And it's not all about taking medication. Sometimes it's about talking to somebody and having that conversation that can help as well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Naeem, listen, thank you so much for calling in. It's been a wonderful call, and your message is absolutely priceless. Thank you very much.
God bless. Enjoy the rest of the show. Keep it up, guys. Well done.
Thank you, Naeem.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. And also thank you very much to Ahmed Morawiya for joining, and Huzaifa Islamadiya for joining in the on the radio as well, via Facebook. And as I said, we are on Ramadan special on either 102.5 FM. Please keep calling us. We're on 01162129324, or text us on 07450925084. We'll visit our website on www.ramadan.fm, or email us on info@ramadan.fm. Just want to touch on something that Naeem Briscoe said. Kamala, he said he prays. And obviously, you touched on earlier on about the biopsychosocial model of treatment. How do you merge the two? If you, just for our listeners, can you explain what the biopsychosocial model means? Yeah. And also bring into that what he said as well.
Exactly. I think, thank you for Brother Naeem to call us and give his special, comments on it. And I think we have a few minutes to discuss this biopsychosocial model. Now, what is biopsychosocial model? As very rightly Brother Naeem has said, that it's not all about medication. It's about finding the cause. As we were talking and we got the call, we were talking about the causes. The causes could be, the loss, the financial problems, the family problems, whatever it is. The thing is that we need to see what is socially happening around us. That is one thing. And we need to correct that social cause. So if there is loss in the family, there is a loss in the family. You have to deal with it. Yeah. And how to deal with it, that's the thing. There is when your psychology kicks in. There is when you might need counseling. You might need good family and friends around you. You need to talk. You need to ventilate your feelings. Or you need to have more formal psychological therapies, for example, CBT. Or that is a higher stage. But you can do a lot of things, as Brother Neem has said, that you can do a lot of things around yourself. For example, spending time with your children. As he said, there are a lot of things that you need to find out what is right for you. Listening to music, talking to a friend, going out, socializing, or being to yourself. There are a lot of things, as I said. Then we come to medication. Then there is no harm talking to a doctor. The first portal of entry in this country is general practitioner. So you have to speak to your GP. And most of the time, 90% of the time, the GPs can give you advice, can give you medication, and a problem can be, the cause, whatever the problem is, can be treated at that level before it is actually escalated to a psychiatrist or to that level. So there is no harm going for help. There is no harm going to your family, ask for help. That is the main thing. Now, you talked about prayers. So, we had this stress management kind of workshop, which went very well. And my role in that was to discuss about how we can combat stress, which is a difficult thing, which is absolutely difficult. For example, he gave the example, Brother Naeem said that he has those flashbacks from where he goes, and, he thinks about it, got, dreams about that. So people can take experiences and they can sit in their minds. And this is the way, when you pray or meditate, you can clear away your minds like that. So praying in Islam is a way of, what I can see is a way of meditation to yourself. When meditation is there in every religion, if you see that, in every religion, they tell us how to pray, how to connect yourself from within your, the God or whoever you're trusting around you. So when we pray 5 times, what we're doing is we're connecting ourselves, we are meditating, we are reflecting what we have done, and this is the way how we can actually treat ourselves. One thing that is on the media these days is, and I've spoken in my stress management workshop as well, that you need 10 minutes break of your mind. And if you see, our prayers is something like 5 to 10 minutes. So if you feel that 10 minutes, you can take away all those stresses, all the things that you have in your mind, if you can just push them out, which is a difficult thing. You shouldn't be doing anything at that time. You shouldn't be driving or, cooking, or that is a different thing. But if you have those 10 minutes of your time and you release your brain from all the stresses and have that kind of feeling, that helps. And it is proven as well. So meditation, prayers, and these things do go hand in hand with the biopsychosocial model somewhere.
Okay. Right. Yes. I think we've got another call on the line, Kamala. So, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Who do we have on?
My name is Arif.
Welcome, Arif. Thank you very much for calling. Arif, what's your message for us?
Well, we're just talking about mental health, etc. So the producer thought it'd be useful for me to put give you my insight with the homeless people that I work with, etc. And I think, like you said, mental health in this day and age is on the increase, definitely. So many people have so many kind of different pressures from like different angles, like family pressures, financial pressure, and it all plays on people's heads, and sometimes it's just that it fester and fester and fester, and then eventually it just explodes in their head, kind of thing. And we see this a lot with the people that I work with, a lot of the homeless community, or even just people that are struggling, that living on the breadline or below the breadline. And sometimes people are really shy, especially males, I feel, and especially the Asian community as well. It's like a taboo subject, and it seems to be weak, kind of thing, for them to come forward and actually mention this, that they're suffering with these kind of problems. So I think what it is, the important thing is that people need to accept that it's a very real issue, a very real problem in this day and age, and kind of not discourage people to come forward and support them, if anything. And I think especially in the Asian community, it's like, I've been working with the homeless for a few years, alhamdulillah, but we're seeing a lot more Asian people coming to us now, and a lot more Muslim people as well, compared to how it was maybe 2 years ago. So, there's a lot of these issues that are influencing homelessness and poverty, food bank usage, etc. So I think there needs to be some kind of groups out there that actually actively encourage people to come forward more within the Asian community, as well as other communities as well, but more so I think in the Asian community because of the taboo, etc.
Okay. And in your experience, what kind of mental health conditions do you normally see and experience when you see that?
Anxiety is a massive one. Depression is a massive one. We see that all the time, and a lot of I can just speak from my aspect, which is mainly around the homeless community.
Yes.
A lot of the people that we help or have helped, they've all had issues from maybe when they were younger, and we're talking like, things like sexual exploitation, beaten, abuse of different kinds and forms from when they're like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, and this plays on their heads, and as they're growing up, it's basically affecting them to the point where once they're adults, or once they're of an adult age, they're actually rebelling because of that as teenagers, etc. And that's where a lot of people, I think, are sort of messing up in their life, so to say, because of the rebelling factor. Not having the stability at home, or maybe we hear so many stories that you hear of, that fathers abusing their kids or taking their kids and getting them abused, and it's a harsh reality, and it's a really sad subject, and it's a really touching subject, but that is actually what happens. I mean, some of the service users that the stories you hear, it's really sad, especially. Well, I mean, it's a lot. It's a kind of worms when you open it. Basically, there's so many different stories, but it is. I think a lot of it does boil down to a lot of childhood experiences.
I think what you're saying is right, because this is the whole kind of a different topic about domestic abuse and violence that people are facing, children are facing in the community, and it just goes unexplained, doesn't come out. The cases are not, most of them are not even reported. So this is a big thing that you have touched on, and we obviously need, maybe, Dr. Shahid can do another show on it. So that is an important thing of our community.
Yes, absolutely, Kamala, you're very right, and it's a topic within itself. And just wanted to ask Arif, just before we let Arif go, Arif, what's your experience in signposting individuals to the medical profession or experts out there? Have you had good experience of doing that?
Yeah, very good experiences. Like, for example, Inclusion Healthcare. We speak to Dr. Maxwell quite regularly, and she's amazing. She's really good. There is a lot of support out there for the homeless community in Leicester. I think Leicester is probably one of the cities that's better equipped to deal with homelessness.
Absolutely.
Out of the country, and that's and like I said, I say to a lot of people, if a homeless person is in Leicester, there's no reason why they should go hungry, and there's no reason why they should go around with dirty clothes, etc. Because there is facilities out there every single day of the week, and even not just with regards to material aid and food, but also, like you said, with regards to GP services like Inclusion Healthcare, etc. It is a very good service, and we signpost people to a lot of different services, because obviously there's only so much we can do, and only those things that are in our remit kind of thing. But things that are out of our remit, we definitely signpost to a lot of services, and I can say that they're very good. The services are very good.
Thank you. You know what? There's so many questions I want to ask you, Arif. Unfortunately, we've only got a couple of minutes. What I might ask you is get in contact with our producer. We would love to have you on our show to have a more detailed discussion about the work that you do, because what it sounds like, it's I think a lot of people can learn from what you do and the experience that you absorb. So I think it would be invaluable and priceless. So get in contact with our producer, and we'll get you on our show, one of our shows, inshallah. But thank you very much for calling in. It's been really good to have you on.
No problem, that's fine.
Thank you, Arif.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. And just to mention, Arif had sent a message earlier on our Facebook page saying it is so important for these issues to be discussed to remove the stigmas many Asians associate with mental health, etc. For some reason, it's seen as weak or a taboo subject in the Asian community, but it's not more than many would like to believe. Very, very pertinent message, Arif. Thank you for that. And we also have a message from Rahat Faisal saying, very informative show. It is important for us to combat stigma around mental health problems in Asian community so that people access services. So really, really brilliant. And we have another message from, I don't have the name here, we only have a number, but I will read out in any case. Assalamu alaikum. I would like to keep anonymous, which is fine. There you go. I have been suffering from really bad anxiety and depression for many years, and I've not been aware of till 4 or 5 months ago when you started feeling started feeling suicidal. And Alhamdulillah, I have faith in Allah, and I didn't, but it's too late. I lost everything: my family, friends, work, education. I feel very lonely and constantly not feeling well. My question is, it's very difficult to talk or get people to accept you in the community because they don't see it as an illness. They see it, if you are not in the deen and 100%, then you're possessed. How are people going to believe the fact that it's an illness and not a jinn or over dramatic? Sorry for the long message. No, not sorry for the wrong message.
A very important message.
Extremely important. And what we might do is maybe, obviously, these issues we would like to talk about in more detail in relation to cultural beliefs and religious beliefs and how they overlap with mental health. So maybe we'll have another detailed discussion on this. But I am going to ask Kamala. Kamala, would you like to add anything? We do have very little time left, but we will continue because this is such a pertinent topic. Kamala, what's your take on this?
You know, this particular question and the story that one of our listeners have put in, this is very close to my heart because I have actually worked very closely with the people not only in this country but back in Pakistan as well. This is a biggest problem, right? From decades. We are trying to, there is a lot of campaigns going on. So people, they don't realize that someone is suffering from a mental illness. They need treatment. They need psychological therapies rather than treating them in a different way. Because I'm not saying that it is not religious or cultural. So praying is a different thing. When we have a headache or someone has cancer or something, what will they do? They will go to a doctor. They will pray for themselves as well. The same equation is for mental health problems as well. You need to pray for yourself, plus have some medication, plus have some help. But what people don't understand in mental health is that they don't see it as an illness. They feel that they are possessed by jinns or something. And so we did a proper workshop in it in Pakistan, and it was a beautiful workshop. If I ever get a chance, I will show it to you what it was and how in Islam they have shown that the Quranic ayats, how they match, and they say that it is not a jinn possession, but it is a way of understanding it step by step. So you need to go for help. And I said, I started with saying that it is a stigma in the community still there, and you need to understand the stigma. You need to find help. Don't wait for 4 to 6 weeks, what the book says. If you feel that you're not coping with your life, go and ask for help. Whatever the time is right for you is the time will be right.
Yes, thank you very much, and that's very, very important. And maybe we'll do a separate discussion on jinn possession states and jadoo and nazar and etc. We've got another anonymous message. It says there are many people living very lonely lives behind closed doors. One of the many reasons is that it's affecting people and is not discussed openly. Absolutely. Well, here we are attempting to discuss it openly. It's okay to remain anonymous. Even after the show, you've got our number. Please feel free if you want to speak to myself or to Kamala. If Kamala is happy, we can certainly pass on the number and you can talk to herself or myself for guidance. But do keep in mind that your first port of call is your general practitioner.
Exactly.
And yes, and as Kamala has very rightly highlighted, is the fact that yes, by all means continue with your prayers, etc. But as they say, tie the camel first. You see. And then pray to Allah, because both are very, very important. So I think the take-home message is do not ignore the medical aspects of these kind of conditions, because they're real. And if you ignore them, you ignore them at your peril. Is that correct, Kamala?
Exactly, you're right. Absolutely right.
And we would love to hear more about the kind of work that you've done in Pakistan. I've done something similar, so maybe we can put something together.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yes. So we've got about 4 minutes left. Thank you for Yasin Patel. You've joined in as well. We've got about just above 4 minutes. So we were talking about stress earlier on, and you were talking about mechanisms, how we can go about trying to manage stress. Now, stress, as you rightly said earlier on, is not necessarily an anxiety disorder. So it's basically identifying them right at the onset, and what we can basically do in order to avoid that situation where it goes into a downward spiral.
Exactly. As I said, we have got only 4 minutes left, and stress is a big, big topic to discuss. So, what I would say, just wrap up for within 4 minutes about stress is that people out there in communities, and it for myself, for yourself as well, for everyone. When I was coming for this show and I was telling my daughter what I'm going to talk about stress, and she said, "Why don't you adopt this yourself?" Because you get quite stressful at times. So anxiety, stress, depression do go hand in hand, and it's difficult to explain in 3 minutes how it is. But the take home message is that stress is not your enemy. It's not a public health enemy. It is your friend. Take it as a friend. Because, for example, we are going through the GCSE and A levels exams these days. The students out there who have got stress and are working hard and are studying, they will get good marks and they will go through the exams. The some of them might not have stress but still do well. But I think most of them, if you don't have that stress and that, that pain in yourself for sitting in exam or going through something, I think a little bit of stress is important for our lives, but too much stress is absolutely bad. It's about self-monitoring yourself, self-motivating, keep your self-esteem up, and about self-disciplining yourself. The Ramzan is all about self-discipline. So if you self-discipline yourself in everything, it's about sleep, appetite, your too much of everything is bad. If you want to have a samosa, you can, but if you have 4 samosas every day, that's bad. So you need to understand what is right for yourself and get your self-esteem right and get your self motivation right as well. And self-discipline is one thing that is a take-home message for today.
And absolutely spot on, Kamala. And I think 2 words that you've mentioned, they are so important. And if people can manage this, one is self-discipline and the other one is self-esteem. Self-esteem is a core feature of a lot of symptoms that can lead to symptoms of anxiety and symptoms of depression. So understanding one's own self-esteem, self-worth is so important. I would like to let the listeners know that this is a weekly program, so please feel free that we are going to be back next Sunday again. So if there are any overlapping questions, please contact us out of hours. You can come on Facebook. It's going to remain on Facebook. Feel free to continue to ask questions, myself or Kamila. We will have access to those questions. We will respond there if it's appropriate. We can respond next week. So please feel free to continue. We are Ramadan special on EVA 102.5 FM, and we will have the health show to continue every week throughout Ramadan. And today, as we said, we got Dr. Kamala Heather, who's a psychiatrist working in forensic psychiatry. And we've had some lovely callers and some beautiful messages and people joining in as well. So Kamala, we've got about just a little bit over a minute. If I give you about 40 seconds, or maybe less, maybe give you about 30 seconds or 40 seconds, I'll give you 40 seconds. What would be your take-home message in relation to what we've discussed today?
Well, the take-home message is very simple, and I think the community out there who are listening to us would have got that message today, is that don't shy out, ask for help. See when the time is right for you. Don't wait for any weeks like 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. This is all for the doctors to understand. But for you to understand there out in the community is that if you feel that you're not coping with life, you're not coping, come out, ask for help. Help is there, and don't shy out. Help your family, help your friends. It's not about you as well. Don't make others feel that if they have got this problem, that's wrong. It's not wrong. You need to help out. So it's all about not shying out, and it's all about, dealing with stress yourself. And thank you so much for, calling me on the show, Dr. Shahid. I think with your team, you're doing a brilliant job. Carry on.
Fantastic, Kamala. Thank you for those compliments, and it's a pleasure. Thank you very much. We've been Ramadan special on EVA 102.5 FM, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Assalamu alaikum.